my name is Ureli Rodriguez with Bannock Development Corporation, and today we are back with another episode of Portneuf Valley Pod. Today we are joined with a very special guest, Andrea Gumm with Simplot.
And I'm Kyle Peterson. I'm an adjunct professor of marketing at Idaho State University and a marketer and brand strategist within Idaho Falls.
My name is Andrea Gumm, and I am the Public Affairs Manager for the Mining and Manufacturing Division of the JR Simplot Company. I am located here in Pocatello, out by the Don plant. I started my career in public relations in Salt Lake City, where I graduated from the University of Utah with a degree in mass communication. I worked my way up here to Pocatello, where I spent the majority of my time up here in the civil engineering field, doing community involvement and stakeholder coordination for large infrastructure projects. And within the last year, I found my way to Simplot, and I'm happy to be here and love working with our community partners and community members.
What does an average day look like for you?
There isn't an average day.
Okay.
I could pull out my calendar. Every day looks a little different. I'm the public affairs manager for mining and manufacturing, so I get the pleasure of overseeing our community involvement, our community outreach for the company's mining and manufacturing sites. Okay. Which two of our landmark ones are here in eastern Idaho. So here in Pocatello, we have our Don plant that many see from the highway, and we have a mine, a phosphate mine over in eastern Idaho. So those are two of our big sites. I am located here, but I do service public affairs in our other sites too.
Where exactly in eastern Idaho is the phosphate one?
It's just it's outside of Afton, Wyoming, across the state line into Caribou County. So it's our Smoky Canyon mine.
Okay.
So that whole area, this western phosphate patch, it's a huge, phosphate area. So there are multiple companies over there, and we are one of them. So
very cool.
Outside of Soda Springs, if people need another geography point.
Yeah. I think Soda Springs kind of the unsung hero. We can do a hot take here in the podcast.
Okay, let's do it.
Finding out that Soda Springs, and it's the engineering of the geyser there that allows Old Faithful to actually be faithful. And so if you read on the plaque, I remember that was my takeaway, is that Old Faithful is more or less engineered to be on time, because Soda Spring is kind of taking the brunt of like the pressurized system to allow that to happen, because they're interconnected somehow. So I thought that was very cool, but no, I've enjoyed it.
My hot take is that's where I was born and raised.
Oh,
so
okay.
I love it there.
So it's just by default.
It's just the geyser, yeah.
Yeah,
I loved growing up there. So.
Okay. Did you want to stay in southeastern Idaho since the time of your childhood in Soda Springs? Did you think that you would branch out more? How did you fall into being public affairs officer for Simplot?
Sure. If you'd have told me when I was in high school or getting ready to graduate that I would find my way back to eastern Idaho, I'd have said, I don't know about that.
Right.
My parents growing up were really big on there's more to life outside of our small town's great, and we live here and raise you kids here, but there's more. So they were always taking us places and trying to, show us different culture, different arts. Yeah, so I ended up going to college, not too far from home, down in Salt Lake City. I went to the University of Utah for college, and I lived and worked there for 10 years in the PR, public relations industry. I bounced around different companies, different topics of PR, and I really, really liked it down there, and it was a great place to go to college, great place to meet people, and I got married down there, and then just had this itch to go somewhere maybe just a little bit smaller. So we were looking around kind of at different towns outside of Salt Lake, and the company I was working for a civil engineering firm at the time, actually doing community outreach, public involvement on large infrastructure projects. So we would engage property owners and local governments and different agencies in decision making tied to large projects. And we had a field office in Pocatello. I said to my husband, I go, God, I haven't been back there for a really long time. And my parents had since left the area, so I really didn't come back for much. So we came up to Pocatello, and I thought, oh, they have a Costco now. We didn't have that when I was a kid. We came, when I was in Soda Springs, we came up here to go to the dentist and buy wedding gifts. That felt like that was what we came up here to do. But we came back and we thought, geez, kind of nice, and we really enjoy recreation, you know, together as a couple, and it's got, you know, it's kind of college town, and we kind of fell in love with it. So I requested a transfer, and my husband found a job just like that, and so here we are, and that was 12 years ago, and we're solid.
So, yeah.
We got our feet planted, and kids here now, and we really like it here. And so then I did find my way to Simplot to work, and I've loved it. So
Yeah. With the, I know your day-to-day is a very interchangeable.
yeah.
What about like, how about boots on the ground? How would you say the percentage split of to admin and making sure all comms are right on all fronts, more in the digital era, posts, news lines, PRs, and then how much is like boots on the ground you require visiting the different cities and facilities to make sure that, I guess, nothing's running awry or everyone's on point?
Yeah, it's all about relationships, right? So, you know, having those close relationships. We live in a digital age now, so it really is nice to be able to just jump on a Teams call and talk with someone pretty much like we're talking now. And that coordination with our other sites is really important. We're lucky to have a great team out of Boise. That's where our company is headquartered, is in Boise. We have a great marketing and comms team there. They really, really have a good take on, you know, our brand and, you know, what they're putting out in terms of that. My job is really that boots on the ground. It's that physical person to go, because I'm a big believer that, you know, digital's great. You know, we can social media all day long. We can tag, repost, we can connect in all these different ways, but I'm a big believer that nothing is substitute for your in-person. And so I like to spend a lot of time out meeting with people, attending events, really trying to understand our community and our communities, not just here, but our other ones. And I rely on, you know, a lot of my site leaders and other places to help with that too. But it's really important for us as a company to understand the communities in which we operate, because we can do no good we believe we're here to do good too. So we can't do good in our community without knowing it, and what are the needs, and what do people expect of us. How can we earn that commitment from our community to how can that, we have to continue to earn that every day. And so I would say a lot of it's boots on the ground and getting out there and meeting people where they're at.
City. Just to expand on that, we have seen Simplot's involvement, such as the Simplot Games, or just being an investor as Simplot. What are other ways that Simplot likes to get involved with the community?
We do a lot of investment in education. We have our Teacher of the Year award that we do. We also have grant programs where Simplot funds different projects and things for local teachers. We have employees out in the community also that are passionate about different organizations, different efforts, a lot of volunteer hours, a lot of our employees going out and supporting various community events. If our employees are passionate about it too, I think that means a lot. So we try to really support what our employees want to be engaged in as well, and what they see out in their community as needs or efforts that they want to support.
What's been the most fun events you've been able to participate in as a volunteer or help organize? The
games is unlike anything else. Yeah, there is, if you want to volunteer, but you don't know what you want to do, you just know I want to be a part of it in some way. Yeah. There is something for everybody at the game. It relies on literally hundreds of community volunteers to even go off. I started volunteering. I started attending the games just as a spectator with my family when we moved here. And then I had volunteered before I even came to Simplot on the media team. So I was helping with the social media and our local traditional media, print advertising, that kind of thing. And then now being on the inside of it, I guess. Just that's a really neat event that brings people here from across the country and across the world. And so to get to watch these kids compete, and it's an open meet, which is the beauty of it. You don't have to qualify. You don't have to have a qualifying time. Okay. You can just sign up and attend, and you can compete and experience that. Yeah. And so that's a really neat thing about our event. So Yeah, it's hard to top the game. We go to a lot of fun things. It's hard to top the Simplot games, especially right now.
That was kind of some of my question, because you have the really fun or rewarding. It sounds like they're both wrapped up in the games. 'Cause, yeah, the games is a lot. I know when I lived down here, that was the most difficult time, even above graduation or other holidays, to actually book out the hotel, the restaurants. It really brings a lot into the town. Yeah, huge event. A small army to coordinate, and a whole army of people come to see and visit. So it's really cool.
I think what's beautiful about it too is that it is, yes, it's the Simplot games, yes, it's us, yes, it's Idaho State University, but it takes a community to run that event. And I like to think that we are all better when we work together. And I think we can achieve bigger things, when we work together. And so that event truly is a culmination of that. And I think that that is a culture too that rises from our company. That's something that we really, I just was in a meeting last week, and you had people in there from all different parts of the company, different expertise coming together to try to, innovate or solve a problem or look to the future. And that's just something that's really preached hard. Where it's not just preached, it's lived at Simplot, is that we all are better when we work together.
Yeah. Can you tell us, within the context of community activism, what do you have going on at Simplot? Or what would you like our audience to know about Simplot?
I'd like the community. We're always listening.
Okay.
So if there is a need, if there is something, we want to hear about it. We really, it's important to us to support education. It's important to us to support the arts. It's important to go out and serve those who need it. Where are the needs in the community? So I would say, like everything, we try to really diversify. We don't feel like we need to pigeonhole ourselves into, we must only support ag-related efforts, or we must only support education. No, there's a need across the board, and so, we want to understand what that is, community to community. And so I'd say, so when you ask about what our strategy is, it's not, our strategy is to listen and to seek to understand what the needs really are. So I would say, if people see me around and they want to come up and visit about something, please reach out. And if I can't do it, I'm sure we can get together and find some way to solve the problem. So
that's quite the invite. That's cool.
On the topic of needs, what are the biggest needs in the agricultural industry that you find yourself in?
Simplot is an ag company, right? And so much so we like to think of ourselves from, we say, mine to plate. So I'm giving this background to help answer the question, but for example, we extract phosphate at our mine, we ship it to Pocatello, we process it into fertilizer. That goes out, this is very simplistic, but it goes out to our farms, our ranches, to help grow crops that are harvested, to feed the world. That's really what we are as a global ag company with a mission to help feed the world. The world is growing, and we have to figure out how to feed it in a more sustainable way. We have a whole group of plant scientists that are working to see how can we grow crops that need, less nutrients, less water, so that it is more sustainable in the long term. We have, livestock, cattle ranches, food production facilities, and all over the world, Argentina, China, Mexico, Canada, the United States, I've missed several, and it's over 13,000 employees. So when you say, what do we need, in terms of ag, there's really a broad spectrum of, we need plant scientists, we need farmers and ranchers, we need trades that can work, skilled trades in our facilities, like here in Pocatello and over in Smoky Canyon. Those trade jobs are really important, so we need a workforce that can help supply that. But really, I think overarching is really just momentum behind that mission, right? That we have a growing population, And we can't turn a blind eye to that. We're at 11 billion people now, something.
Oh, you're talking globally.
Yeah, I'm talking globally. This is we are global. We are looking at a global issue here as a company and looking forward, not just day to day, but where are we 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now in addressing that. Okay. Simplot's a family-owned company. We're not privately held, and so it's a generational company. So we we've been in Pocatello for 80 years. We think it's just the beginning. We're looking that's the beauty of being, a family-owned company too, I think, is we can invest in these things that we know might not produce a return for another 10 years, another 20 years. So I don't know if I answered your question, but when you ask what does ag need, we need passion behind that mission that we need to feed the world in a more sustainable global way.
Honestly, that's a great response. That does answer the question perfectly.
But we need jobs, we need people,
We
right?
do.
We need people that are passionate about that or that have a skill. Someone asked me the other day about, what should someone know or what should they think about if they'd like to come work for Simplot. And yes, it is an ag company, but you don't have to have an ag background. My background is far from ag. But there's a place for all of these skills within this mission. So
You talked about the global numbers, so thinking globally, acting locally, sort of a mantra, definitely in the business school. So in terms of that, what has been Simplot's continual or biggest contribution within the Bannock development area?
Well, like I mentioned, we started, our founder, J.R. Simplot, built this facility 80 years ago. We're celebrating our 80th year this year of continuous operation here, which is quite the feat in the phosphate fertilizer business, is to continually operate for 80 years. A lot of facilities will see, a downturn in phosphate, so they, shut the plant down for an extended period of time or lay people off. That we're not in the business of doing that here. We are continually operating. We have we have a great
recession
and a great company that we have so many different. We have a diverse, portfolio of operations that we can withstand some of that downturn. So we've been a part of the economy for 80 years here, not just by employing people, which we have, or building our facility and having work here, but investing in the community too for that long. And we know that we don't just get to be here. So it's important for us to be good stewards of the community and participants in the community, and we, like I said, we have to earn the trust of the community every day. And so we want to do that because we want to stay. Simplot loves Pocatello. They saw it 80 years ago. This was a prime location. Logistically, for what they were doing, this was the spot, and it continues to be the spot. So we're not going anywhere.
Transportation infrastructure, crossroads, highway, shipping.
And the company saw this as a great place for people. They came here and they knew the people here. They saw it 80 years ago, and it's still true today, that the quality of people that live here and contribute to the community here, and that in turn work for the company, they stand above.
So we've discussed a little more about how Simplot has contributed to the area and its impact. So if someone were to want to go into the agricultural industry or even be an active participant of Simplot, what advice would you give to them?
Learn about the company. I would say do your homework, feel good about it, talk to people who work there, talk to people who've worked there a long time. There's something to be said for that longevity, which is hard to find anymore. If someone wants to come work for us, I would just say, ask questions, be curious about what we do. Seek to understand the mission and how we were founded and the history of the company. I think that speaks a lot to it. So, but yeah, interested in ag. I think that if you're interested in ag and interested in a career in ag, learning about Simplot and what we've done as a company is a great intro into what an important industry it is, and what an important industry it will continue to be. So,
zooming in from Simplot back to you,
Mm-hmm.
talk about 12 years in Utah. What was the big change? What was the most significant change from that time outside of Southeast Idaho coming back? And what have you loved seeing recently? And what are you looking forward to?
here in
Couple
Eastern
of us,
Idaho.
yeah.
Well, the move from, Salt Lake proper to here, it was definitely, less people, less dense, which I could go, in Salt Lake, I gotta go to the grocery store. Well, that's 2 hours out of my evening, to get there. And so now I can go to the grocery store, the post office, and somewhere else within an hour. Or, so I think I got a lot of time back when I moved back here, which was really, I didn't expect that. And I also remember getting off work and driving home and being like, oh, I'm home now. It's 10 after 5. Like,
Right,
what,
yeah.
my evening was crazy. So that was a big shift, was the amount of time I felt like I got back when I moved back here. In terms of, we've seen over the last 10 years, I wouldn't say, when you come from a place that was so big and I say, oh, it's growing here, I don't know if I felt that as much as maybe other people that have lived here for longer, but what I'm excited about is we love recreation around here. And so I think there's a lot of hesitancy sometimes when we get a lot of outsiders coming to Pocatello, and it's kind of our best kept secret, which I agree, it is a really great, I really love the size of our town, and
it's a secret.
Please come visit, but but I like that maybe I feel like we're kind of now starting to get recognized for what we probably should have been being recognized for a while. Yeah. And I think it's a great place to live. It's a great place to recreate. We left Salt Lake with the intention of starting a family and raising a family, and that's what we're doing now here, and I don't regret the move for a second. And we're going to be here, for a while, and so it's a great place to live, and a great place, I think, to raise a family.
Yeah, what you said is so true. I know I have some friends in Boise, and we've talked about like raising kids, and definitely kids going through a potty training phase, or maybe proximity to home is kind of the best thing. And they've always talked about, like, yeah, if I have to go into town, or if I'm just going to like the public library event, it's a whole ordeal. I mean, I'm packing like a mini vacation, and I really have more variables to worry about. And I didn't realize, the amount of time saved being proximity and near adjacent to a lot of things in the area. I'm also one that I've had a goal to not commute more than like 20 minutes for a job, kind of in my life personally. I didn't want to spend a lot of it staring outside of a windshield. And even during the commutes, it's so much quicker. And like I said, you get the evening back, you get that time back. I've definitely been off work, 5:10, I'm already home. Then the decision is, by 5:15, am I going to the gym, or am I staying at home and relaxing? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly a great place to just raise a family too, because even my family that's here, they're able to get my nephew into various activities, and even when he was younger, he was able to go to all these community events that were specifically for his demographic. And so it's just a great area to be in. Which leads me into my next question. If you were to convince someone to come to this area, what would you tell them? Why Portneuf Valley?
Once you come and see it, and if you can come with an open, mind to really see what touches you, there'll be something here for everyone. Maybe you don't like to ski, that's fine, but maybe there's something else. I think if you give it a little time, there's enough for you to find that will resonate with you. I think what people would find coming here is that while people go, where is Pocatello? Oh my, must be so far away, right? It's this place no one seems to know. But when you get here, you are 2.5 hours from Salt Lake City. You're just under 3 to Boise. you are under 3 to Jackson Hole. You are 3 and change to the Tetons and to Yellowstone National Park. You know, major airports, major recreation, major arts, major nature.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I believe is a beautiful place to live and to access so much. And I don't know if we realized that until we knew it was 2.5 hours from Salt Lake where we were moving from, right? But then we got here and it was like, wait a minute, we are so close.
We don't need Salt Lake.
Yeah, exactly. We don't. I think that is what. If I was having someone come here, I would say, you think you're coming to somewhere where there's not a lot. Your accessibility. You have so much accessibility to so much when you're here.
And so our final question, as someone who is a partner with us, how are you a partner in economic development? And how would you like to continue to be a partner in economic development?
Great. You know, one of the 3, we kind of have these 3 pillars, so to speak, at Simplot that really speaks to what we do. And it's our passion for our people, respect for resources, and our spirit of innovation. And I think when you look at all 3 of those, that is how we contribute to economic development. You know, our passion for people, our employees and their safety and their well-being and their development is priority. You know, we want our employees to love where they work. We want them to work in places they love, and we want them to, at the end of the day, go home safe. You know, our respect for resources, we understand what we're doing and we understand the impact that it has. And so we work hard and we research and we spend money to make sure that we are taking care of the environment in which we're operating. And then our spirit of innovation, that right there is that long-term planning we do to keep us in these communities still, and to keep us active and to keep us growing and contributing to the economy and growing our local economies. You know, like I said, we're not looking quarter to quarter, you know, to see things. We are looking out over extended, long decades periods of time to see what are we doing to, you know, contribute to our mission to feeding the world, but also to our communities and the economies of those communities. So that is always on the forefront as well. So that's
great.
I hope in 80 years you're sitting here, or someone's sitting here with someone saying the same thing. So
yeah, Andrea, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for talking with us.
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.